Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Alumni Showcase. I trust that you had a lovely month, and I'm sure every one of you is always looking forward to this every month. And I'm really excited for we're towards the end of the year. I'm sure everyone is getting ready for the holidays, but I'm really excited for today's own alumni showcase. And before I bring in our guest, I believe everyone is doing great, and you're preparing for the holidays. Uh, Pardon my bland background. I'm really not into the Christmas tree setting up, but hopefully I'll probably set it up at some point. But today we are going to be spotlighting another alumni who's been doing immensely well. It's just phenomenal all he has achieved. I mean, on Twitter, he calls himself someone. He's the guy that builds. He said, "I just like building products, and I've been doing this for the past 10 years." So trust me, I believe when you get to meet him, he will be able to um, he'll be able to explain himself a little bit much better. And fun fact before I bring up our the alumnus that will be joining us. Fun fact it was that if you see him, and I told you he was a dancer before, you will really not believe it. And there's a question I'm going to ask him because there's a video that came to mind when we're preparing for this. So without much further ado, the alumnus that we are going to be interviewing and spotlighting today is none other than the greatest product builder ever, Charles Dairo. So let me just add him up to the stream and we can get this interview started.
Hi,
Hello, Charles. How you doing?
I'm doing great.
That's awesome. That's awesome. That's awesome. Thank you for joining us today. I mean, it's amazing to get to interview after all this while because I see you on the streets of Twitter and it's always from one thing to another. But it's just amazing that we get to interview you today. And for me, I in a way I've been looking forward to this because we've had a conversation in the past and you dropped some very valuable knowledge on me. So I was like, okay, this is good. I finally get the opportunity to interview the great Charles Dyer. So before we get started, before we get into the main crux of things, if you don't mind, just telling us a little bit about yourself, and then we'll get into the questions as we move forward.
Okay, thanks. First of all, thanks for having me. It's a pleasure to be here, and I appreciate the opportunity. I'm Charles Dairo. Um, joined Redeemers University in 2005. The first set, um, graduated in 2009. Studied computer science. Immediately after that, started business like right away, right? Of course, NYSC, but immediately after school, I just started this entrepreneurial journey. Started a sort of freelance website design service, and that has grown to what we call six today. We've been in business for going to 11 years. We've had the pleasure of working with some of the biggest companies in Nigeria and some outside Nigeria as well. Over the last 2 years, I've been working in building products, different tools that help businesses and individuals. So that's like a quick about my background, and I'll be happy to address any other specific topic.
All right, all right, all right. Thank you very much for that quick intro. So we're going to start today with your life in Run. So, how, like, when you remember your time at Run, how do you picture it? Because at least from the little I know about you, you blended both the academia and you had a blend of the academia and the social life. You had it was a very nice blend. So, like, just tell us about your time in Run, and and we can go from there.
Yeah, so run was fun. At least from my own perspective, it was fun. Um, So I had one major thing that made it challenging for me was dancing. So right from secondary school, I used to dance. So getting into run, one of the very first things I did was find dancers, right? So I found a couple of guys, joined, and that was like my first social activity. I've always been kind of like an introvert, but the only thing I'm not shy about is dancing, right? So I may find it difficult to strike up a conversation with a stranger, but once I'm on stage, I mean, there's zero shyness, right? So it was something I really enjoyed doing. So finding a group of guys in school that were dancing was like a highlight for me. But it also distracted me, right? I didn't have very full understanding of how the university system worked. So unlike in secondary school where all I had to do was just go to class, right? I didn't really study specifically for exam. But when I got to one, I assume that was the same way too. I didn't really understand the concept of CGPA and how unforgiving it is, where if you mess up in 100 level, it will haunt you till you're done, right? So I spent like the first year really socializing, right? And when I say socializing, it was primarily dancing. We had a dance group. We did shows. We were involved in competitions in the school, and that was really what I was focused on, right? I really wanted to be that popular guy in school, not for dancing. It affected my it affected my 100 level results drastically. I still remember my GPA for first semester was 1.8.
Wow.
It didn't really dawn on me what that meant, right? Comparing it with secondary school, every new term is a clean sheet, right? So I assumed that was the way it was. But after second semester, I think I had like a 2 point something. And then I now learned the concept of CGPA, right? That okay, you know what you've done now is just you're just going to build on it. So it was really stressful for me understanding how that was. I mean, it ended up with a good story. Final year, I had 5.0 first semester, 5.0 second semester. Um, when I decided to become serious, right? But yeah, my experience of run was fun. I had really great friends. Kesho was one of my most popular friends. We danced together. K right now is he just followed academia, right? Just did his PhD and all of that. I mean, as at 100 level, you really couldn't, if you saw K and I, couldn't tell where we're going. You just assume, okay, these are these, maybe we will be club boys after school and stuff like that, but it was definitely the opposite. So, I mean, run was interesting, right? There were some negatives, but the negatives didn't affect me as much. By negative, I mean some things around the structure and the rules and everything, but I kind of feel like if you are a good boy, um, in quotes, it's going to be easy for you, right? So I didn't get in trouble in run at all. I had great friends. Yeah, I mean that's it. So I don't know if I'm talking too much.
Okay. So, while I was introducing you, there was something I remembered. So I remember there was a time. So you were part of a group called LOVE. If I
Yes.
remember, you guys were like a very multifaceted group. You guys had the dancers and the singers, and the rest of them. I remember there was a time you guys had this requirement for anybody to join LOV that they must be able to do a particular leg. They had to do this particular sequence. That if
Yeah.
they couldn't do this sequence, you can't join the
Yeah.
group. Remember that thing? I was like, remember I was like before this interview, I was like, wait. I was like, oh, seriously, like this is true that that picture came to. I think you guys recorded it. Like, okay, well, LOV is taking in dances, but you must be able to do this before you get into LOV. So my question to you would be, in like, okay, is that something you can still do now?
Oh
Like,
yeah, sure.
okay,
I mean, the
okay,
thing
so
is, once a dancer, always a dancer, right? I don't dance in public anymore, right? But when I'm hyper at home, sometimes it just flows.
okay, yeah, because I was just like, oh wow, that must have been because I mean, it was just, I mean, honestly, for me, looking back, I felt that brought a different dynamic to the school because it was fun, it was competitive, there was LXD, there was
Yeah,
Radical for
yeah,
Christ, there was all of them. So all those groups were just like everybody wanted to be affiliated with something, and
yeah.
it was pretty nice. So apart from your, I mean, I don't know, it might be your time in LOV, but like, what if you're looking back on your time at Ron? What would you say like were your memorable times in Ron? Like, what memorable events or like experiences did you have? Like, what would you say when you look back at Ron stands out for you, pretty much?
So I think it's in different dimensions. One is on the so let me start with the religious or spiritual side of things.
Okay.
I publicly gave my life to Christ 3rd of March 2006 during Holy Ghost service.
Oh
Um,
wow.
that was a pivotal moment in my life. I I my first stint, public stint at entrepreneurship also was at Ron. Like we organized a whole show, printed tickets, invited people, different dance groups from all over Nigeria to come and perform. People paid. People actually paid to come. The show went very well. I don't even remember if I made or lost money, right? But it was an opportunity to be entrepreneurial, right? And I'm glad we had that opportunity. In terms of even academics as well, Ron had a conducive environment where if you really want to be serious, you have the necessary infrastructure. So I remember 'cause at that time accommodation was pretty decent, right? Obviously, I don't know how things are right now, but initially we were just in a room, um, AC. Um, if you wanted to read, I mean, light there was light, right? I mean, it just seemed like a very decent environment. There was a very good library where I spent like a lot of my time preparing to go to the 400 level, and that really helped with my academics. The chapel also helped. Coincidentally, I mean, it's not actually a coincidence, but within the time when I started getting better in academics, it was also the same time I became serious about my relationship with God. That's when Kay and I used to go to church. That we became intentional about going to church early. Initially, sometimes we would try to skip one individual and of that.
Yeah.
But towards as we became a bit more mature, right, and understanding the importance of these things, nobody had to push us, right? And it's been like I still have that effect today of hearing God's word almost every single day, one way or the other. If it's not a morning devotion, it's in church, it's in Holy Ghost service or divine encounter. Like hearing the word of God over and over again. At that time, you really don't know what it means. You don't know the impact, but later you start experiencing the real value. So, Ron has definitely helped. Even in business, I started running a website design company, and it was in Ron. I first heard about website design, right? We did a course. Even in business, there was a whole training on entrepreneurship that we had at final year that also helped me. That was the first time creating a business plan. So there's so many things that I am grateful for that Ron sort of helped me achieve on a foundational level.
Okay, that's pretty great. I mean, for me, I mean, all those things you just said, are pretty much very relatable. I mean, the most pivotal one, at least from my perspective, is the fact that you came publicly into your knowledge of Christ. Which I feel sometimes when we think about like traditional Christian universities, uh, I feel is a part that's a little bit overlooked because for some people that was the experience that they had, and I'm really happy that for you that was one of your memorable experiences at Brown. So now we're just going to dive into a little bit of the LOVE era, at least for those. I can't remember what's the meaning of the acronym again.
League
Uh,
of Versatile Entertainers.
yes. So I know K now. K is a PhD now. Oh, Wale, so there's a question for you in YouTube by Wale. He was like, Charles needs to tell us how he suddenly became our top student in the final year. So I think you can go from there.
Okay, awesome. Hello, Wale. See you again. Yeah, so it was really an issue of seriousness. Okay, yes. So two things, right? At some point, it dawned on me that um, the way the trajectory of my academics was bad. So I think what triggered that was during my IT. I did my IT at a company called Ericsson. They liked me really. They loved me really. So one day the HR saw me. She see me from time to time, but that day specifically, she said, "If you finish school with a 2-1, just come over." Right? So it was like I had like a job ready for me, right?
Mhm.
So but by the time I go back to school, I realized, what's the likelihood that I would actually come out with a 2-1, right? My result was my CGPA was pretty low at that time. I think I was on like a third class. 400 level, beginning of 400 level, I prayed. There was a prayer session that was sort of, okay, no, it was in church, right? Which is also one of the things that I'm grateful for. So that day in church, I think it was a Sunday. The I think it was the assistant chaplain. He said, ask God for one thing, like just one thing, and tell him what you will do if it comes to pass. Very naturally, without thinking about it, I said, God, let me have a 5.0, right? I don't think I'd ever had a 4 point, right? As at that time. I said, God, let me have a 5.0 this semester. That was 400 level first semester. And it's kind of like miraculous, right? I'm not trying to make it look like, okay, maybe it wasn't really, I really think it was a miracle, right? But I saw the miracle happen in the sense that I became I became interested, right? I became interested in what I was learning, right? I was attending classes regularly. Whenever the teachers explained anything, I just understood it. Um, During exam period, um, it became the reverse. Before, I used to go to people's rooms asking them, please, do you understand this? Do you understand this? But this time it was the reverse. People were coming to my room to say, Charles, do you understand this? And I understood it, right? For the very first time, writing an exam, I was confident, I was happy. Like, I was like, nah, I'm killing this. Um, there was a day, one of my colleagues in computer science, name is Akiwale. He was like, Charles, how am going to do? I just told him I'm going to have a 5.0. I just said it in passing. Then one day, I was in my room after exam. I think I was working on a project. The best student in our department just called me and said, Charles, have you seen your result? I was like, no, I've not seen my result. What's happening? She was like, "You had 5.0." I was like, "What? What did you say?" She said, "You had 5.0." I mean, I said, "Okay, thank you, thank you." Cut the phone, and I just knelt down, thanked God, like, "What? Not 4.9, not 4.95, the exact 5.0." So of course, with that kind of thing happening, your faith is stronger. There was a prayer session that was organized by those in final year as well. It was a prayer session. I knelt down, I cried because I really wanted to have come out with a 2-1 because of that job that I that was waiting for me. Um, so at that prayer session, I prayed again. Okay, yeah. So initially, my what I told God was that if I get the 5.0, my entire pocket money for a month, I would give it to church, right? And I did. Um, so this time again, I prayed 5.0. It was still the same thing, right? I became serious. It wasn't like I was just chilling and I just had 5.0. I actually became a serious student, right? Wale that asked the person probably noticed within that period. I became serious. I was going to the library every day. At that time, I was dating someone that was also brilliant, right? So it was also very helpful. So we were going to the library together, and it was very helpful. Um, so yeah, that's kind of like how things went. The second semester, I also did 5.0. I ended up graduating with a 2.2, second class lower, but that experience changed my life, right? The degree meant nothing to me anymore. I was like, if I could get 5.0 in the first second semester, there's nothing I cannot do, right? So I didn't go back to that company to beg them. I just focused on getting certifications. Thanks, Wale. I just like doing certifications, learning more. Yeah, I just became a lot more confident in the way I approached life. And yeah, so that's the answer to that question.
Thank you very much. And I think this will probably be the maybe this will probably be maybe the last question for this particular arc before we go into your life after run. So, like, what sparked your interest in computer science? Like, what made you pick computer science as a major when you went into Redeemers?
Yeah, so since I was a lot younger, I had been fascinated about computers. My stepdad bought a computer set to the house. That was I mean, before that time, we used to go to cyber cafes to just use Yahoo Messenger, chat with people, enter chat rooms, Yahoo Mail. So when we actually had a computer at home with internet connection, this really slow internet connection. But it was my opportunity to really learn how things worked. It became sort of my property, right? All of us used it together, but I was so fascinated about computers. I spent time beyond social media and stuff like that. Yeah, call it social media. Beyond all of those fun activities, I was really trying to learn a lot. So it was a really natural decision to do computer science. So it was either computer science or computer engineering. I applied to Covenant University first. I didn't know that there was Redeemer University at the time. And I applied for computer engineering. When I didn't hear from them early enough, I applied to computer science at Redeemer University and got yeah.
Oh, thank you. So I think okay. Let me make this the last question. So I thought this was going to be the last one. So like most of the friends like the friends you made while you were in Rome, and this will probably be a segue into the second arc when we come back. Is like how instrumental were they in terms of your pivoting from into being an entrepreneur? Were they like because I know like some of the other alumni we've interviewed in the past, some of them made mention of the fact that they were just like a group of them, or they had certain conversations, and they all decided and stuff. Like for example, when we were interviewing Kenneth. He said something like, he that when you go to when you went to run, he aimed for three things. He says live there with a good network, live there with a degree, and live there with a wife. So I'm guessing, you pretty much fit that bill also. And also, how were there like any pivotal relationships or pivotal moments like among your peers while you were run that kind of gave you that spark to go that way?
I think, I mean, yeah, thinking about it now, some of the earliest clients I worked with when I started designing websites were actually run students. One was Ire Ige, was also in computer science. Ire had always been, right from the beginning, had always been this business guy, right? So we built a website for his company called Avatar Energy. We did branding like logo, business letterhead, and all of that. So I designed that for him. He was one of my very first clients. One of my sister's friends enrolled into a very she was into catering. I think she's still into catering. So I designed her website. So these people, there was also another guy, um, Olamide Ekitola. I also designed his website. And these were all people that I had met in one way or the other. So those first set of customers that would believe in you enough because they know you to pay you to get a service were very helpful in building my portfolio as an entrepreneur or as a website designer. So yeah, that's one of the big things I can remember. Of course, friends along the way reconnect from time to time. They need help with something, or they need a sort of connect that I'm able to help with. We've been able to maintain those relationships, not closely. You just know that these people are there, right? You know that if I ever need help getting something done, I have someone that attended on. If I want to work with some companies, right? I know that if Wale is in that company, it's easier for me, right? And that's the way it has been. Like Wale in particular, we've had a series of conversations along the same business career line, and so those relationships are still very, very important to me.
Uh, all right, thank you very much. So right at this point, we're going to take a break. Then, when we return, we'll talk about your life post run. So we'll be right back in a minute. All right, so everyone, we're just going to take a break right now. So when we come back, like I said earlier, we'll be talking with Charles again about his life post run and all the strides he's been making. You get to hear about some of the products he is developing and things of that nature. So we will be right back.
For scholarship, mentorship, and friendship that guarantees the net worth of your network and increases your employability, enroll at Redeemers University. Be equipped with intra and entrepreneurial skills while activating your leadership potential under world-class mentors and scholars. We are currently offering admission to over 45 fully accredited programs in the faculties of engineering, law, basic medical sciences, management sciences, social sciences, natural sciences, environmental sciences, and humanities. For inquiries, visit adms.ron.edu.ng or call 0700 700 8000 or 0807 300 4715. Scholarships are available. Join us today at Redeemers University as we run with a vision.
All right, all right, all right. Welcome back from that short break. I'll be adding our guest again, and now we'll be talking about his time post run. So, welcome back, Charles, and nice to thank you once again for joining us on this episode of the Alumni Spotlight. So we're just going to get straight into it. So my first question to you is going to be, why what informed the decision of entrepreneurship? I know you said that you learned about being an entrepreneur from Ron, but that particular leap is a very great leap, especially considering the climate of Nigeria, for example. Those kind of decisions, some I don't know. For some people, it comes organically. For some people, it's just maybe they saw something that they're like, oh, I'm never working for anybody. And some people are just like, from the day they were born, they're like, you know what, I'm never working for anyone. So for you, what was it that just made you be like, okay, you know what, I don't think I want to deal with, what was that reason?
Yeah, so I mean, for me, it was never a at least it never started as an intentional decision. Like I didn't wake up one morning and say, okay, you know what, after school, I'm going to go into business. It happened quite organically. So immediately after school, I mean, final year, we had a course called website design and security. That's when I learned about website design. It was while I was learning that course, when I was reading that I fell in love with websites, right? I got an ebook, a PDF book, and read it from cover to cover, right? Practicing everything that was there. It was really from interest and passion for website design that started me on this journey. Luckily, um, my final project supervisor, Dr. Chodwo, was also helpful enough to allow me pursue a project that had to do with web development. So I built a school library management system. And immediately after that, I mean, graduating, I just continued building websites, right? I built a website for my local church, built a website for like I mentioned earlier, for Erie, for Iberi, for a number of other for my sister, for Lamide and Ishola, like just building website, building a portfolio. And it just dawned on me like, okay, this is something I enjoy doing. And meanwhile, at this time, I didn't plan to focus on entrepreneurship full time, right? It wasn't a thing per se, right? That you do immediately after school. At this time, I was still writing certificates, trying to make my CV look impressive, so that I would stand better chances of getting a job with my 2-2 degree. Um, yeah, so it was just after a while, I just looked at it like, okay, this is something I enjoy doing. People are willing to pay me for it. I'm still staying in my parents' house. At least I know that breakfast, lunch, and dinner is secured. Uh, if this doesn't work, right, I'm not going to go hungry, right? So I said, you know what? Let me just try it out. So I got an internship, still in the line of website design with Biotech Media. Um, After the internship, I worked part time at a church, Mountain of Life Church. I was going there 3 times a week while I was still building my side hustle. After 1.5 years working there, I decided, okay, and I was already getting clients, right, from referrals and everything. So I said, okay, you know what? Let me try to put my focus on this. Quit that job. Um, Got a very small office space from my mom. It was like her. She actually owns a supermarket. She had this store at the back of the building. So I just begged her. She agreed. Turned that to an office space. I had my first employee. That person was someone that did not know anything about website design. I trained him, and he started helping out. Right, and that's how business started. So it was pretty much organic. But it was helpful that I had privileges. Like I didn't have to think about what I would eat, didn't have to think about where I would sleep. So it made it a little bit easier for me. But yeah, generally that's how I started. It wasn't those stories of oh, I just woke up and said, oh God, I don't want to work for anybody. No, it wasn't that. I really wanted to work, but it just happened that I became comfortable with what I was earning from from this business. And so I just said, okay, you know what, let's keep pushing.
Okay, wow. And that's more like you said, it was more like an organic transition for you. So like those years when you were, because one of the things I believe that as we rise to greatness, there's the process. So my question to you would be like just so that for anyone that is watching it now or watching later is how like through that process, what were the what kept you going? What were the principles that kept you consistent through the process? Because I know, like even though yes, you might have had the privilege of staying in your parents' house, but there's a part of you that just yearns for more. Like, so how did you stay grounded through that process?
I think it's been primarily a couple of principles. Number one, excellence. Like do your very best, right? I'm not the only person that started a website design company 10 years ago or 11 years ago, right? Um, but a lot of people started and they weren't just getting clients, right? So I strongly believe that if you do quality work, you do excellent work, and people really like your work, naturally they will tell people about your services, right? And that was my experience. Like I mentioned earlier, I was a serious introvert. Like it wasn't, I couldn't do marketing like face to face, tell people that, oh, I build websites and everything. No. So I depended on the quality of our work, depended on learning things like search engine optimization to get our website to show on Google. But everything was just slow. It wasn't we used like digital marketer like running ads and stuff. So it was just doing quality work, ensuring that clients are happy with what they are getting, and naturally they were referring other people to my business. Another thing is treating people well, right? It's one thing to have a business, it's another thing to understand that it's people that will help that business grow, right? I've had the pleasure of hiring over the couple of years, probably like 50 clients that passed through CK Digital, from internships to full time to people staying. I have someone that stayed 6 years, I have someone that stayed 4 years, 5 years, and some people stayed 6 months and left, right? Some people stayed 3 months, maybe internships and left. But one thing that has been consistent throughout is that there's still a very good relationship between me and everybody that has gone through CK Digital, right? I try my best to be a good boss, try my best to treat people well, and it's been very helpful. So I think quality work, treat people well, do your marketing right. Like in my own case, we focus on search engine optimization, like search for Google, you find us, and all of that. So I feel like those are some specific things that will help anybody that is looking to start business thrive. Of course, and from the foundational thing is do something that you actually enjoy doing, right? Because things will get tough. Things got very, very tough for me along the line, right? But because it was something that I enjoyed doing, that there was actually demand for, it made things a little bit easier.
All right, thank you very much. I mean, I believe those principles are very key. Like one, make sure you enjoy what you're doing, and the excellence. Yeah. So you made mention of something about excellence, and which is something at least from at least from what I see from all your everything, like every product that you've made, that's something that is pivotal. Even when I at least go on some of the websites, because at least on Twitter, for some of the stuff you've created, I've had the opportunity to at least interact with, some of them, and I can see that there's been a progression through time, which I feel is applaudable, and kudos to you and your team for what you guys are building. So now we're going to go into your products. So I know you have haircut, you have I think Biz Up HQ,
Bit of,
then
yes,
there's the one that is like the questionnaire one.
question
uh,
rules, yeah,
yes, and there's Reservo. Yes.
yes.
So now my question is like, okay, what? what goes on in your mind when you think about making a product? I know at the base of any product being created is to solve a problem, but like what drives your I'll call it, for lack of a better word, solutionizing, like what drives that for you?
Okay, so my principle has always been solving my own problems, right? So there are probably a million and one problems that you can possibly solve, but I solve problems that are close to me, right? Problems that I am feeling, right? Or people around me are feeling, such that it's personal, right? Solutions that I need in my own life. So if we look at, for example, I started with, there was not of frustration at the barber shop, right? Like I was saying, okay, why can't I just book an appointment with my barber, right? Why do I need to go there, not knowing whether I'm going to be served immediately, whether I will have to wait 30 minutes or 1 hour? Why can't I just book an appointment, right? Build an appointment booking solution. With haircuts, it was still in line, like, okay, a lot of barbers, um, unfortunately don't really care about customer experience. Like, can we actually build a barber shop that is focused on customer experience? That a barber shop that guarantees no delay, no crowd, no noise, right? Personalized service every single time. And that's why we build haircuts, right? So it's always been based on problems that I need to exist. Like, I need these products to exist. I need these problems solved, so that it's not just transactional for me, right? There are things that I really need these things to succeed, because I've also seen that beyond me, there are many other people like me that are having the same challenges. With Bizop, I've been running business for like 11 years. I know the pain. I know how difficult it is to manage processes, right? Like, how do you ensure that someone leaves your company and your work doesn't scatter, right? All your processes are documented. When someone joins your company, it's easy for them to be onboarded because they can easily see how things are done in your company step by step, right? So all of these processes are, they look interesting. They look like, oh, they are innovative. But at the root of all of them, they are solving problems that you can't relate to on a deep level. So that's kind of like my philosophy for products. So for instance, I don't do fintech, right? Maybe I will in future. Right now, I don't really care about fintech, right? Um, for me to build myself, right? But there are some other people that understand these financial challenges better than me, that will be better suited for fintech solutions, right? So as much as fintech is buzzing right now, it's not something that is appealing to me. So that's kind of like the way I think about it.
I mean, okay, I mean, that's a very good. I mean, that's a good perspective. Like you, you solve your own personal problems, because I think that's, if I remember correctly, I think when they were interviewing Mark Zuckerberg, I think that was one. That was kind of a thought pattern he had. It was like he was trying to communicate with his friends without being in the same space or as them and all. So I feel like, that's a very good alternative perspective, and I feel that might be a gemstone for somebody who's trying to find, what to create a solution for. Find what is affecting you personally, and probably you scale up from there. So I know you mentioned earlier while you were talking about your entrepreneurship journey that there were some challenges you faced. So if you don't mind, highlighting some of them, and how you overcame some of these challenges.
Yeah, sure, I'll be happy to. So while I mentioned that I had the privilege of breakfast, lunch, and dinner, um, and like a place to lay my head, right? I didn't receive or request for financial assistance from anybody at any time, right? I never got a loan, I never got a grant, everything was bootstrapped. Like, where we are right now has been directly um, based on the money that we actually made, right? So our growth was very organic, was very slow. I was seeing other companies doing really great things, hiring, like having like a large team, doing really awesome stuff. I mean, that I couldn't afford to do, and I had to be okay with it, right? Because I had to understand it was very difficult. I mean, there were times where I almost got depressed, like, ah, does this person have two heads? Look at the amazing things these guys are doing. We're in the same business, and then look at what they are doing, and I cannot afford to do it. Should I be looking for money instead of that? So being not having that financial assistance to grow was a challenge. And it's not something I regret at all. It helped me become really wise in managing money. It helped me understand better like how business works. Helped us focus on what really mattered to customers without thinking that we have one money in the bank that we are depending on. So there were financial challenges, issues. As an early entrepreneur, it's very painful when someone has been working with you for a while, you have plans for the person, you hope that they love the business as much as you do, and then they leave, right? And it might be your best people leaving to get a better offer somewhere else. Initially, it was really, really painful, right? Like, oh wow, where do I start from, right? And even till now, it's still painful if someone leaves the company, right? But it's one of those things that I've learned that it's just part of life, right? There's always another company out there that is able to pay people more. And while some people will stay beyond for other reasons beyond money, some other people don't have that liberty. Some people need money more than others. Some people need change in their career trajectory, right? So people living other things like based on the nature of our business, you can pursue deals and pursue them for months, and it just doesn't work out, right? Clients may ghost you, clients may be rude to you, which I mean, thinking about them, they're not necessarily there are things that people may see as challenges, but I think maybe experience has taught me that these are just normal things. Like entrepreneurship involves a lot of ups and downs, right? Celebrate the ups, learn from the downs. Whenever you make a mistake, learn from it, move forward. Don't dwell on the mistakes so much. Whenever there's an issue, find what you can learn from that situation and just move forward. It's very difficult, tough, but yeah, other challenges like now that I started building products, one major challenge has been funding, right? Like for your product to really scale, you need money, right? So people reach out to like venture capitalists and all of that. I've not raised money, but I know that raising money definitely makes the journey easier in a way. Yeah. Um, so yeah, those are some challenges that come to mind. There have been situations where you want to get a deal, you know you deserve this deal, but the other company not being in the client's company and they get the deal just because they know someone, right? So there's so many things that happen in business, but you just have to understand that you're not a victim, right? It's just one of those things. You learn from it, you get better, and life will go on.
Thank you very much. So my next question for you will be, so earlier you mentioned about, your experience with God when you were in run and everything. So like one of the key things that I have come to understand is that there's a blend between the spiritual and physical. So I know, like I mean, we're from a country whereby people are very spiritual heavy to the point that sometimes they don't move. They're stuck on one spot. So I'll say my question to you would be, how have you been able to skillfully merge both worlds, and how, in like, if there's any instance whereby, or you've been able to integrate both worlds effectively, and how do you make that balance between the spiritual, because yes, we pray and then we go and execute, but like how do you make that balance as an entrepreneur?
Yeah, I think that's a great question. My perspective, I don't think it's something you need to balance, right? I think I don't even see them as two separate things. I think um, it's you're one person that is guided by the principles in so you're living a physical life, but you are guided by the spiritual, right? Um, it's not really an issue of how do I balance all these things? Because I feel like when you're trying to execute, you might make a lot of mistakes, right? So this thing is something I'm supposed to handle myself, but this is something that I'm supposed to pray about, right? The Bible says pray about every single thing, right? Like if you are worried about a deal that you're trying to close, right? There are principles in the Bible that teach you not to worry. There are principles that teach you that God will take care of you, whether this deal comes or it doesn't come to, right? That you will be okay deep down, right? When you feel like you're going through a lot of challenges, your salaries this month, you know that deep down God is a provider, and that even if things are tough right now, you know that you have peace, right? So I feel like it's not something that you need to intentionally try to balance. Um, you just follow the principles, right? Follow the instructions of the Bible, follow the leading of the Holy Spirit. Like you just understand that your life is one with God. It's not like you have like a spiritual life, you have like one life you're living with God. So I mean, and I'm saying this based on my own approach, right? I'm not preaching. I'm saying this is how I live, right? So there's a challenge. I pray about it immediately. It might just be a 3 second prayer. I'm not intentionally trying to switch from physical to let's become spiritual about it. No, the spiritual is part of my life, right? And that's the way I see it. It has worked for me. It keeps working for me. So I think it's a way to really really consider. See that your life is one, right? Your life is merged with God. It's merged with the Word of God. It's merged with the Holy Spirit. The Holy Spirit is with you every single time. So it's not something that you come out of something to go into. You try to balance. That's my perspective.
Awesome, awesome, awesome take. Thank you very much. So we're pretty much getting towards the end, but just a couple more questions. So, as a Nigerian or global entrepreneur functioning from a Nigerian location, how has it been? I mean, I know, for example, every time I go on Twitter, there's one regulation that's always coming up to strangle entrepreneurs. Like, we made a break, then somebody just comes like, regulation time. You guys can't be making all this money. Regulate you, regulate you out of profit. How has it been? Because I know, because I'm on Twitter and I'm seeing a lot of this founders, and they're just like, we just received funding and you guys are here again to like literally just make every progress. We are trying to grow the country, but you're
Yeah.
taking life out of us. How I know you've probably gone maybe affected directly or indirectly by some of those regulations. How do you navigate those seasons? Because it can be a lot, because I see a lot of frustrations on Twitter, and it can be a little overwhelming. So how have you managed all that and everything?
So I have not been, just to mention, I've not been directly affected by these regulations, maybe because of the space that I'm playing in. Not when I say regulations, I mean those specific regulations like crypto that just came, all of a sudden saying they're banning crypto. I don't do anything I don't run a business that involves crypto, so that did not affect me directly. And of course, I'm directly affected by the way things are generally in the country, right? The atmosphere that businesses are in, right? Um, so the way I see it is also the way I take life. Like, don't worry about it, right? You don't know. The Bible says that every day has enough trouble for itself, right? You just take it as it comes. If you try to think about it too much, you get depressed, right? So just take it one day at a time. I might be speaking now, and just tomorrow something happens that directly affects my business. I will just take it and try to calm down, understand the situation, really understand what the government is trying to achieve with it, understand what can I learn that didn't happen in the past before, how can I work around it and all of that. So I think it's just take it one step at a time. Don't get scared of getting into tech because of regulation. Because even if it's not regulation, it might be another problem, right? So just if it's something you want to do, get right into it. There's always a way around it. I know of a company that was doing crypto heavily in Nigeria. When the regulation came, they changed their headquarters to somewhere to a company in Europe, and they are still thriving, right? So like there's always a way around. God always makes a way. Um, yeah, so I mean, the whole idea, and this is my principle, is focus on what you can control. You don't have control over regulations that might happen or regulations that might come up tomorrow. What do you have control over? Focus on that one, right? Don't worry about those things that might happen, right? And if it happens to you directly, face it, right? Understand the situation, take steps without worry, and most likely you'll find a way around it. I mean, maybe it's easy for me to say, but I really think this is the way to go.
All right. So that's a good segue into our last question would be, what nuggets do you have for people like, let's say, upcoming entrepreneurs or current entrepreneurs, generally, whether in Nigeria or any part of the world? What words of wisdom will you leave for them, or those that are like the new alumni that are going to watch this video or are watching? What will you tell them? Like if they say, "Well, I want to be an entrepreneur," what will be your guiding words like that it can have as a lighthouse to look at when they are on their journey to becoming entrepreneurs?
I would say be very careful about what other people think, right? I feel like it's a trap, right? Figure out what works for you as an individual. Learn as much as you can about any situation. Educate yourself. Ultimately, don't make decisions based on what is popular. Don't make decisions based on what other people will think. Don't make decisions based on how you want to be perceived. Like, oh, I want to belong is this community, right? Do things based on critical thinking. That if you thought about this thing, you feel peace that this will work for you. You have understanding that even if it doesn't work, you will be fine. I think that's a good thing. So a lot of people fall into the trap of looking at other people and trying to follow their path, not really understanding how these people got there, right? Or you're looking at people on social media and you think that everything you are seeing is all that there is, right? Not knowing that people intentionally hide some details to portray themselves in particular ways. So I really think trust God, trust yourself, believe in yourself. Like just understand that everything will be okay, right? One way or the other. Learn as much as you can, right? Many of the mistakes that I've made in the past were completely avoidable, right? If I had just learned about those things. But then don't have paralysis where you keep planning and analyzing, but you never take action, right? So move forward, take steps, and yeah, take it one step at a time.
All right. Thank you very much. Those are very wise words from Charles. If you want to know more about what he does, you can follow him on Twitter. I think he's more active on Twitter than any other platform. He leaves some very occasional wise. I think one of the things I remember that you put was you said something about marriage is something about having a good UI, but I mean, I saw that stuff. I was like, wow, this is like you need to think about it very well. I mean, it seems very simple, but when you like open it up, it's like, wow, yeah, you that's some introspective thoughts. So at this point, we've come to the end of this interview. I want to thank you very much, Charles, for for your time and for coming with us on this journey for this today's episode. Thank you very much. We are rooting for you, and thank you for making the alumni proud with what you do. Because I don't think I've heard any bad reports about you anywhere or any scam. So it's just very applaudable that you've not only are you representing yourself, you're representing God, and even the school that you're part of, and you've been doing excellently well. So thank you very much for all the work that you do and all the problems you're solving. So guys, whenever you watch this, look out for a lot of Child's products. They're very good from Reservo. If you're in the Lagos axis, you need a haircut, go to haircut.com, book your service. It's going to be you there with music. Yes, you can choose your own song and listen to your own song while they give you a nice haircut. So look for that. And if you're business owner and you're just starting your business and you're trying to document your processes, the BizUp HQ app is there for you. And let's just support our alumni products, and they're good. This is not. I'm not just trying to find up his products because he's here, but it's because I've seen them, I've leveraged some of them, and I can say for a fact that they work. So yes, you can find him on Twitter at his name Charles Dairo, and you've seen there. He's doing amazing stuff, so please look out for him. So thank you once again, Charles, for your time. Appreciate you joining us, and thank you very much.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me.
Thank you very much. So, guys, thank you very much. We have come to the end of today's episode. We will be having a recap next month, so look forward to that. And thank you, guys, once again for joining us on today's episode of the Alumni Showcase. Thank you very much to our guest, Charles. Thank you very much, and you have a lovely and lovely rest of the month.